Okie dokie, guys. It's been like a freaking week since we've been on. Why? I don't know. I just haven't felt like it. But I get in my head too. Like, I'm not down like I was a couple weeks ago, but I'm just like in my head still. So we'll see how this goes. We got the guitar, and we'll wait for someone to join. Welcome in, someone. I'm gonna get you guys on my phone so I can see and monitor this a bit better. Let's see here. Where is TikTok? There's TikTok. Found it. Okay, go live. Monitor live. All right. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. The topic tonight is what's been on your mind lately. We can talk about literally anything. But in the meantime, whoa, Brady, calm down. In the meantime, I'm going to play some guitar. I don't want to sing. I really don't want to sing. And we'll wait. There's only been one person, but that's okay. Hopefully your day has been going well. And I'm singing. I did it. I did the thing. I sang. And maybe I'll say maybe. Maybe. God damn it. Why am I singing? I can't sing, guys. Maybe you sit and sigh, wishing that I were near, and maybe you'll ask me to come back again, and maybe I'll say maybe. Okay, no more singing, Brady. All right, we're trying to get people up in the chat to chit chat. We literally talk about anything on this platform. We can talk. God, thanks, Eternal. Thank you. Oh man, I didn't want to make you guys' ears bleed with my singing, but I let it out. It came out. It somehow came out. But yeah, I appreciate you guys hanging out. The topic tonight is what's been on your mind lately. We can talk about literally anything at all. It is 9:35 p.m. Whoa. All right. It's been like 5 or 6 days since I've been on live, and we're doing the thing again. We're coming back, and we're talking about whatever it can be. We have 2 people in here. Welcome in, people. Welcome in. The topic tonight, I'll repeat it, is what's been on your mind lately. The goal is to align, be like, yo, what's going on? And progress and figure out what the frick we're doing on Earth together as the human species. Come on, we can figure it out. And we do that here, and we talk about literally anything at all, and that is what we're doing. We'll see if anyone wants to join. If anyone wants to join, it is the pink and the blue dudes down here. You can hit that button, request to join up, or you can chit chat in the chat, and I'll invite you up that way. Either way, we'll do something, and we'll have a nice little chit chat. to make you jealous of me. Jalapeno poppers, Star. What? I love jalapeno poppers. Welcome in, Star. I would love jalapeno poppers so much. I love them. That's awesome. You made them by scratch, like from like nothing. Like you got the raw jalapenos and you just. Hey, we got someone. Hello, hello.
Hello. How are you?
Doing good. How you doing?
What's been on my mind? I just feel like I've been debating too many people on TikTok, and
Debating, debates,
it's
debates.
it's probably I wonder if it's like developed itself into a pathology.
What do you mean by that?
It just doesn't seem very healthy or like constructive.
Well, it depends. Like, what's your end goal? Like, what are you trying to achieve when you go on these debates?
I mean, I suppose it is like a form of like education. Like I am trying to learn and try to sharpen my own positions. Um, I don't I don't think I'm ever going to like really convince anyone, but I don't think I'm learning anything either.
Well, I don't think the point of debates is really convincing. It's like planting a seed because like no one really in a debate truly no one really wants to like. It depends, but like people just want to be right, and that's the problem. I think we ought to normalize saying I don't know sometimes, and I think that's perfectly fine.
Well, at the same time, I don't know seems like a concession in a
People
sense.
make it seem that way.
Just because I don't know doesn't mean you're right, and it seems that that's what that means.
But we get to, well, people got to get over it. I say I don't know all the time. I think we have to lean in with curiosity, understanding, and open mindedness to like progress together. Because like if someone just wants to be right so bad, like sure, if I say I don't know, they take that as a concession of like me just like whatever it might be, right? But that's fine. Why I don't mind that for myself if I go into debates, if that makes any sense.
I suppose it's like I'm blanking on the lack of a better word, but like it's just like disturbing to see people take what I find to be like untenuous positions, and they do it like with their full chest. So like I don't know, maybe I'm just re-traumatizing myself by like bearing witness to their
Well,
bigotry.
give me an example, like if you don't mind sharing.
Oh, like I'm pro-choice, and the idea of like forcing women to give birth just seems like a dystopia. It feels like that's like the definition of a dystopia.
Right.
And pro-lifers seem very convinced that they're living in a dystopia. So I don't know if there is such a remedy for these things, or if I just have to like
Yeah,
see it for what it is.
I think there's like ways to navigate someone into seeing like like when they like think viable life is, or like when it's like okay. Like have you ever heard of the burning house example?
I haven't.
So like imagine, so like you can use this on them because this is like this will like tell them if they say like I believe life is when conception starts, you'll see what this really means. Because like for me, I believe it's like when sentience starts to kick in around like 12 to 14 weeks or whatever. But like you would ask him like, okay, so imagine a burning building. There's like an infant on one side of the room, and let's say like three petri dishes of embryos on the other side. Like what would you rather choose? And I had a guy literally I talked with in real life say I would choose the three embryos. I'm like, no, you wouldn't. There's like a crying baby over here, like that's in pain and like confused. Like what the heck? Like you would choose the embryos. So some people are like I think intellectually dishonest when they talk about that because like I think people for the most part if they would be in the situation they'd obviously choose the baby, right? I don't know if you ever heard of that argument.
I have. No, I haven't. It's just, I mean, like the argument or the analogy that I use is like a police officer who like fires onto a, a child that has a fake weapon. That it seems that like normatively, it like we have this like if the officer truly believed that that was a real weapon, that that was a real danger, that he would be justified, right?
Right.
It's not an outcome that's ideal, but there is a perceived danger because like I just take the self-defense position on pro um, choice, but it just seems that like especially like with evangelical Christians, it's maybe I'm just reading too much into it. It just feels like their argument really is theological in the sense rather than harm reduction in the sense that like God cursed women to give birth and suffer and unalive in childbirth, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore it's our obligations as Christians to like carry that out.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't, they're not worried about the suffering of the mother, especially with the absolute like the abolitionists, in which that
Right.
don't give any like any exception.
I think most of them just like have a lack of empathy for like why a person would want to do this in the first place. Like or like some outcomes that like just are unfortunate. For instance, I think a lot of people tend to say like, well, you made the choice to have sex, and it's like, well, you know, sure, but like people have like a right to their body. I would say, in my opinion, but um, I understand it's hard to like convince people of that have a different point of view. What's really sad is when we got rid of Roe versus Wade, so it stopped being a federal thing to like have healthcare for women. And it's like state by state case. Like people in Texas have a different right. Like women in Texas have less rights than like let's say women in California. So I find that unfortunate.
I mean, so like I guess in this regard, it's just like I'm an individual in which that comes into the world, and I don't know, like I don't mean to sound too spiritual, but like it or like too defeatist is like there's like nothing I can do. I'm just like staring at the world burning.
Well, when it comes to like this particular argument or like other things in general.
Well, just in general, using this as an example, like especially with like the level of vitriol and passion and fear mongering and like the rhetoric in which that perpetuates violence.
uh Violence being like towards like what we see like with police officers, or like what do you mean?
Well, like using abortion as an example, or like
Oh,
violence towards women, right? But there's of course there's other forms of violence, but like it's just I'm trying to be more abstract and more general
I
instead of
see.
like getting to like is that like there's like all this bad stuff in the world and there's like nothing I can do about it.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you've been trying to like interact with people and engage with people on TikTok. It's like you're doing something there, right? And if anyone is like listening, like you're educating them, or like giving them a different point of view. Like I think that's more beneficial than not. But I think it depends like what the point, like the purpose of the debate is, like what your intentions are. Like if it's to be right, I think people can come across as defensive. But if it's to like plant a seed, I think that's how we engage with people, or like dance around, or like try to get them to like be like, hey, we're just humans, people, and trying to get them to engage back and understand the argument. I think you know uh, can do wonders to what people can do wonders. What the fuck am I talking about? You know what I'm trying to say? Can do wonders. What the fuck? What am I saying?
What are your goals?
My goal is to have two people come together, align, and progress, and figure out what the frick we're doing on this planet together as the human species, right? So wherever we need to take it, it can get philosophical, it can get religious, it can get political. Even though I don't really dive into politics too much, but I'll entertain it. We can talk about movies. We can talk about life. You can vent if you want. It could be anything you need it to be.
Well, I mean, it seems like the goal of life is to like survive, and it does this blindly. And because of this, a lot like because like I think bad things happen because it comes out of a place of ignorance, like a cosmic level of ignorance, in which that evolution does these things that we see as unethical and immoral and bad, but in the not perspective of evolution, but in the goal of evolution, it's testing all of these hypotheses. It's testing all these theories of like what is capable of surviving. And so now we like bear witness to like like terrible things that happen because evolution is like maybe this is ideal. Who knows? Like
Right.
it's so yeah. So we're just I guess like just like it feels like reality in its present moment in like regards to like life is that we're in a like life in its totality is still figuring it out. Like it feels like very much like to speak metaphorically, like it feels like we're in the mind of an ignorant God, and we have to tolerate
That's fun. Isn't that fun? We're in the confused agent's brain, and we're trying to train the confused agent to be a god, and it's trying to control us, thinking it is a god. But we're like, no, 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 don't control us. You're not a god, buddy. I don't know. That's my way of thinking about it.
Oh, but go ahead, please.
Yeah. So I would say ignorance is a big thing, right? And do you know who Daryl Davis is, by any chance? Daryl Davis.
Oh no, but it sounds like a name I can easily write down.
He is a black pianist, and he plays piano fantastically well. Fantastically, he plays it so well. And he was able to talk to Ku Klux Klan members and deconvert them. And when they deconverted, they gave
Oh
him
yes, I do know. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
right. And his one of his like quotes like ignorance breeds fear, fear breeds hatred, hatred breeds violence. But I would say like with ignorance is true, right? With it starting from there, but I believe fear is the root cause of all unnecessary suffering. And if the individual can eradicate fear from the mind, they can lead more productive and fulfilling lives. Like this doesn't mean we can't feel fear. Like feeling feelings is a good thing. It's just data, but we shouldn't let it dictate like how we think. Like we shouldn't let it just be like wow, and like go from there. We and I think people can progress and go forth with that kind of thinking, if that makes any sense. It's like fearlessly looking inwards, fearlessly looking outwards. I'll stop rambling.
No, you're not right. It's just that like I feel like I've been like taking on a very defeatist position, and fuck, I forgot what I was. Just I just feel so defeated. Well, that's all.
That's okay.
Because like it's like I'm mourning the loss of people who are alive in the sense that I see these individuals in which that accept like racism, for example. Like racism is literally like not real, or race is not real, right? And I want them to live happier lives because like it's I couldn't imagine being like I'm popping a blood vessel every time I see a black person. That's insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's just I don't. I guess I'm having a difficult time rationalizing why I have empathy for someone in which that has no empathy for me. And in my being, am I? Is this just like an aspect of an ignorant being? Like, do I have to have empathy for these people?
Well, I understand where you're coming from because I think people can just like really get under your skin and be like, "Rah, people, come on." I think when it comes to me though, um, let me be personal here. So I've been hurt by my dad, my mom, my brother, and my sister. Not really. I did it first to her, but then she did it back. I'm like, yeah. But my sister is more complicated. But these three people in my family did me wrong, and when I was young, and I'm like, and I turned out to be who I am today. But like, I'll get to that. But like the thing I had to understand with these three people, I couldn't be bitter. I couldn't like hate them, but like there was feelings of bitterness at sometimes and like why me, but like what I had to understand is like someone hurt these people for the first person to domino effect on the rest for me to get hurt, and someone hurt that person before, and someone hurt that person, and it's like almost universal to the point where like everyone's been hurt by some person for them to be who they are today. I believe we're a product like of our luck in biology and our luck in our environment, and that in turn dictates or like helps us, not helps, but like it affects who we are as adults, right? So like I had to look at it that way and be like, okay, so this person was this way because of this, and I can try to empathize with them and understand them better, so I can't be that, so I don't repeat what they repeated. And that's what I think is the big thing we see with like people that have these like racist ideas, right? We don't want to repeat that because we know that what that can lead to with violence, right? With hatred and then violence, right? And I think it's good that you see that in yourself. And I think the more we model out these like dialogues like this, or just be kind, or whatever it might be, like however you would navigate your life, I'm optimistic that the future will be better. But I have to be optimistic in order to be who I am today, if that makes any sense. Are you still there? I know I was
No,
like,
I'm listening. No,
I
no,
was,
I'm listening. Um,
no, go
it's
ahead.
difficult to like transition from different spaces because like you go from like debating and yelling and then it's just like then now we're having a normal conversation.
Right, right. You're good, man. You're good. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to say. except I understand how it can get frustrating wanting someone to be right, but like we can't control our people, right? People have to understand that on their own, and like I said, I think modeling it out, like being a good person,
I
just
mean,
like
how do you let go of like this need? Because I think that like a big part of like my psychological anguish is that I have this lack of control. Like, how do you let go of like this need for control?
whew, I we all have our own journeys when it comes to that, right? And why that is developed into how you are is beyond me. I don't know if I have the right answer for this. And this is why, like, this is when I say I don't know. I'm being honest, and I think this is where we can like brainstorm ideas together, and kind of like just like I think the more we just like vulnerably share our minds out, and just like kind of get somewhere. Like you can give me a puzzle piece, and I'll give you a puzzle piece, and we'll just like put it into our minds and go from there. I don't know. Letting go of control is difficult if you see a solution that can be better. Um, but I think it's understanding within yourself that you can only control yourself, right? Uh, or influence like the direction where your desires uh, lean to better outcomes. If that makes any sense. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, it makes sense. Like, I mean, like a way that I've somewhat have been doing it in a very because like I come from like somewhat of a religious background, and I had like a lot of fear of like going to hell. And so, like, a way that I've let go of control, it's probably not very healthy, but like, I've just accepted going to hell.
Okay.
Like, in order to like overcome that fear, I just place myself in it.
Are you Christian or like what do you believe in?
I mean, I say I'm a free spirit.
Yeah.
Like, it's difficult, like, there's 8 billion people in the world. How many religions are there? In my mind, for every person, there's a religion. So, or like some belief structure in that effect. So like I would say like I have my own kind of like spiritual agnostic. I lean atheistic, but like that's just me collapsing the spirit into the body. Like,
You lean atheistic,
yeah.
but like agnostic, like atheist, or because like you said you think you're gonna go to hell, but like if you're an atheist, you don't believe in hell or heaven, right?
I mean, I like my bad. Sorry. There's like these like
You're okay.
there are things in which that I intellectualize myself into, but then there's like this deeper unconscious psychological reality in which that I have not been able to decouple myself from.
Okay.
So I still hold these values even though I quote unquote don't know them to be true, but I still believe them to be true.
Yeah.
I know them false, but I believe them true.
That's interesting. Um, that's so if you could like believe in anything, like why do you think you're going to hell? Like what like based on like who you think you know as like you know yourself more than anyone, right? But like based on like your whole life, like where would you want to be if you could?
I mean, I draw from like a lot of traditions to kind of help me cope with the ideas, but like in Buddhism, there's like this in Buddhism, there's this thing called like the bodhisattva and the vow of the bodhisattva, and like so like basically it's like the Buddha comes back to earth. The Buddha denies himself enlightenment to suffer with the people, and like the vow of the bodhisattva is like I will not ascend into nirvana or paradise or whatever until all life ascends into it. So it's like the sense of like I don't want to abandon that in which that would be discarded.
Okay. So you take that idea like so Buddha comes. I'm gonna try to rephrase it because I'm trying to understand. So Buddha comes back to Earth and he wants to suffer with the people to help them understand how to be. Is that kind of the gist of it?
I mean, oh, so like there's Buddha and then there's Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva isn't. There's different types of Buddha because like Buddha is like Buddha consciousness. This is kind of where this is kind of where we get Christ consciousness from because like there are many different types of Buddha. There's like the first Buddha, right, that we're all familiar with, but then there's the Buddha nature. And some forms of this school of thought is that there's the Buddha nature in which that becomes enlightened and then leaves, right? Right, and then there's the Bodhisattva, which is of a Buddha nature, except it comes back willingly. So
Right.
it's not like reincarnation because reincarnation is like an unwilling, like you're trapped in the cycle. But the Bodhisattva is willing to come back into it for this kind of noble pursuit.
And you believe in this, or like you think it's like could be like helpful, like psychologically, or like what do you think about this?
So like in my mind, like taking this kind of logical framework and then like applying it to like my Christian trauma is that like if God were to send someone to hell, like there's like especially since like I like especially being a queer person and like identifying my identity belongs there. Like I would wish to suffer with people that I don't believe deserve to suffer. Like we'll suffer in solidarity.
Interesting. So if you don't, and I'll get back to that. But like, what do you like? What if you don't mind sharing, or if you can, like, what do you think you're gonna go to hell for? Like, what makes you think you're gonna go there?
I mean, like this is like blasphemy. You know, like I'm rejecting that God is good, right?
Okay, I see. Well, look, if God gave you a brain, like this God apparently that's Christian or Abrahamic God gave you a brain to think about different problems in such a way, where like like for me, I can list like arguments like all good, all powerful, all knowing, all perfect, all everywhere present, all omnipresent. Like there's contradictions that you see in the Bible, but also in real life. Like for me, I don't subscribe to Christianity, but I believe the idea of Jesus is true, and we should hold on to that. But I think there's contradictions if we hold God to these like standards, and we should rephrase how that should be, right? So if God gave us a brain to think about this in a logical way that seems to make sense to us, and if we don't believe in that God, and because of that we go to hell, that's not a God worth serving, in my opinion.
And it does come absolutely from like a place of fear because like yeah, I'm very I can say that this God is not worth serving and that's why I must go to hell. Because it and that's what kind of scares me is like it doesn't really matter about like the character of God. He's just all powerful, so he gets to do whatever he wants. So like really, I'm just hiding from this infinite boogeyman I can't defeat.
Well, why do you think this God's real and true? How do you know that this God is going to actually do this to you, or like, or has these abilities to do this?
Well, I don't know. Like, and like earlier when I said it's like I know it to be false, but there's a part of me that believes it to be true. And so like I am like in this state of like contradiction.
What part is true about it?
Well, not well, what part do I believe is true about it?
Yes.
I believe I believe that there is such thing as like objective morals,
Okay.
uh,
So we can start there.
and
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
like I believe like redemption is true. Like I like atonement and forgiveness and penance. I think
Right.
that's true in a sense.
We have two things there, and if you want to list more, you can list more. But we have two.
Yeah.
So we have those two things. You don't need a Christian God to have those two things.
I think what it is, I think it really is like childhood. Like not I try to use this because like obviously like I don't want to like just like having a parent in which that was just like from an early age just yelling into my brain. I still hear those echoes, and it's it's stressful. But like no, I do 100%. And these are arguments I make because like my argument for morality comes from objective morality comes from evolution. And then I don't I don't really know where redemption. Maybe evolution is also an argument for redemption as well.
Right. I think we've since we've ever been able to be. conscious or aware, we've been telling ourselves a story and trying to figure out what the fuck we're doing on Earth together, right? I think we can take these different ancient religions and like build on top of them to make a universal story together. That like diversity is great, different beliefs are great, but we can create something so standardized. I believe we can. I'm optimistic about this. That's universal, that people can grasp onto and progress as the human species to evolve. Now that's a lot to take in. Would that happen in my lifetime or our lifetime? I don't know. But like, we start by defining what this God is. And is this God genocidal? I don't think so.
I mean, like, there's also like this fear of evolution, right? Because like, in a way, is it like a matter of faith in which like I'm kind of like gambling, being optimistic on the sense that the ideal life will not suffer, and we're just trying to evolve to that point. However, that may not necessarily be true. Like bed bugs, for example, just to keep it simple, right? Is like their males will um, impregnate the females by impaling them.
What?
Females have
Why am I laughing at that? That's
females have a vagina, right?
okay.
However, males will use their genitals just to pierce the womb. And what if that's just like the most efficient way is just to continue doing that for all of eternity? And so there's really nothing in which that would suggest that evolution will evolve itself in which to be a consensual, loving place. It could be that the perfect form of evolution is just violent and horrible.
Well, perhaps. I mean, I think, interesting. Um, we could think about that. Like, we can say the future is going to be like hell, perhaps on Earth. But like something, I think the stories we tell ourselves is important because I think the more we believe in the positive thing, the more likely that's going to happen. Like we can abstract God out and use it as a tool. Like it doesn't have to be factually correct. Like I'll before I go to this, I'll ask you: Do you believe that porcupines can shoot through quill?
No, no, no. I don't think so.
Okay, sweet. Same here. But like there's other people that think they can, right? And they would have the advantage of, staying away from it with that false belief, right? Like they'd be less likely to get harmed rather than like me or you. We're gonna see like a cute little porcupine, like, hey buddy, how's it going? And he just like rampages at us and like, pokes us and whatever happens, right? So like with the actual truth and knowledge, we end up getting harmed more. So it comes to the point where what is like we're believing in doesn't have to be factual if it's beneficial for the most amount of people as possible, right? And that's an interesting idea, I think.
No, I definitely heard this idea before, but like it's because it's like meme theory. It's like similar to that, right?
What's that?
I think Richard is it Richard Dawkins? I don't, but like alligators aren't in the sewer. There's like a famous like alligators in the sewer of New York City, right? That's an
Right.
untrue statement, similar to the porcupine, right? But like the benefit of that story, although it's factually false, is that it prevents children from going into the sewers,
Right.
or
Right.
like there's a witch in the woods. It prevents children from getting lost in the wilderness.
Right.
So like this feels also like analogous to like my bed bug kind of in that like it does feel rather like hellish in which the only way we can truly engage with the world is we can't accept it for what like we can't accept truth values. We need to like just like I don't know. You understand what I'm saying? It's like I would like to be strong enough not to be afraid of the world. I don't want to live in a lie,
Yeah, and that's understandable. Like I
no
think
matter how beneficial that might be.
yeah, no, I understand. But like how do we know if it's a lie or not a lie, right? Like if we say this so I'll abstract this out. So like perhaps in one time in the past or many times we've been at this like harmony stage, perhaps we were all divine, perhaps we were something more than what we are now, who knows? But what if we collectively decided to fragment out into being what we are today, and knowing that in the future we'll come back into being in harmony again, like not knowing how, but like we'll come back to that idea. And and I share this story because like it's interesting, because uh there's kind of like a trust or a faith in humans prevailing over suffering, over like there being a cruel, nasty world where like it all comes back together in the end, or the beginning again, if that makes any sense. So I wonder what you think about that.
I mean, I've heard these arguments, well, not arguments, but I heard this point of view before, and like I'm trying to like disassociate myself from what I view as negative qualities of my being, and then to kind of go that extra mile and say other people are also me, and in some distant future, I'm going like we're going to become unified, and all of a
Well,
sudden,
well, not unified. We'll be unique and different. Like we'll still be individuals. But go on. As far as I
okay,
know. As
if
far as
we,
I know.
as far as you know, like as long because normally because like that like theological position in which that everyone is God and we're all one, right? Is that like the thing that is like that means God has a problem. And then now we're back into the mind of an ignorant God.
Well, perhaps we are in the mind of the ignorant God, and he's experiencing all of us as many times as he possibly can, or they, or whatever it is. And it's up to us to identify that voice in our head, because there's different desires going on in our minds, and this is a way like understand how to psychologically unlock our minds, right? To the point where the confused agent has this plants this idea in my mind. I'm like, no, 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 no. That's not what I want, right? It's up to us to teach this confused agent a lesson, and I think if we are in that mind of a confused agent, I think it makes sense for me to want to help it become better. If it makes any sense, it doesn't have to be factually correct, but
But it
um,
doesn't have to. It's just going to be helpful, I suppose.
like I
I
imagine. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I imagine if what I said about the harmony and like the fragmentation and come back to harmony is true, like I'm honestly open to predetermination or scientific determination, where like we've already had this conversation before, and I'm just being puppeted around. I'm in the present, constantly in the present, experiencing Brady right now, but the future, well, is collapsing into the past, and the future is not too far ahead to where that means I'm just aware of what's going on. But like, why were my hands doing that in the first place? And why do they have a mind of their own, anyways? And why is my like eyebrows and face just like doing stuff to indicate data to you to understand what my face is doing, to give you more of an understanding of who I am? And I'm not in control of every single aspect of my body, right? So what's this mean? Am I being puppeted around by just like the gods up above? And I'm just like talking on TikTok like a fucking lunatic right now. Like what? I'm not opposed to the idea of me being out of control, if that makes sense. Like I give the right voices in my mind control of me. I'm like, hey, you got me. I know who you are. I'm not gonna say you out loud. I'm not gonna say your name out loud. And you, I'm not gonna say your name out loud because it's private. It's personal. But they are with me, and they guide me, and I'm able to be in a way that I wasn't in the past because I was so trying to be in control of myself where I couldn't be. I was constantly hard on myself and very negative. How I talked to myself was bad. But now with this like kind of unfolding understanding, like I'm still trying to understand it in my best way, but like unfolding understanding of like this might have all just already happened, and I'm just staring at my hands right now like what's going on. It's I just became born again in a sense.
I mean, I don't even know if I really have much something to say of substance because it really feels like at the moment I'm in the state of mind of like I of like dragging myself through like I'm just like dragging myself across the earth and just like this I'm in this kind of curse of immortal toil and like my only purpose is to suffer. So it's just like I don't know how constructive that is.
Right, but like you can say you can look at the world, and we can conclude that our only purpose is to suffer, but we can decide what that means for ourselves, and do something about that, right? Like it is like even though it might be the case where like life is suffering, like there's no way we're gonna get rid of the suffering. I don't believe unless maybe in the future there's some other way to do that. Uh, Currently, from what I understand, there's no way to get rid of all suffering, but we can get rid of unnecessary suffering by being introspective, looking inwards fearlessly, looking outwards fearlessly, trying to understand other people. And I think engaging in conversations like this, like what you're doing now, is important and critical. Like we're modeling out a healthy dialogue on TikTok. I don't see a lot of people doing this, and like, it's debates. It's like I want to be right. It's like this is important. And what we're talking about right now, like you're helping me understand how to be a better Brady. Like you're proposing these ideas. Like we're just like brainstorming together right now, and getting better together. And you're helping me being social. And what you're doing is great. So I appreciate you just for uh, being open and vulnerable and sharing these thoughts with me.
Well, I mean, you've been very vulnerable as well. It seems only right to pay it back. Um, I'm just trying to think of like, because like when people refer to themselves in third person,
Ooh.
and by no means am I saying it judgy, like, because like I've like every person I've like who genuinely do it. Um, I like, for example, I met someone briefly who often addressed themselves in the third person, and she told me she started doing that after a surgery she had, in which the anesthetic didn't put her under. It paralyzed her and kept her from moving, but she felt all the pain.
Mm-hmm.
This is what she told me is like normally when people refer to themselves in the third person, it's like they've experienced like a lot of trauma. I don't know how true that is, but from her experience, and I feel like
Hmm.
my trauma has manifested, and everyone experiences trauma. It's a horrible world, and it just seems that like the way I have it like manifested it is like through like OCD and like a lot of like intrusive thoughts. So like really, conversations just keep my mind occupied because I'm focused on the conversation and I'm trying to connect all the dots and I'm trying to like keep up. So like
Right.
it pushes back all like the it pushes everything back from my awareness.
Right. Um, yeah, I can see. Well, for me, I've had intrusive thoughts. I mean, I'll get to it. Not to be super dark, because I think we have to be careful what we say. But 2 weeks ago, I was feeling down for the first time in a year or so, and I've been very depressed back like a couple of years before this. But there's two women that came into my life last year that helped me out be who I am today. I wouldn't be on TikTok if it wasn't for them and being who I am. But anyways, a couple weeks ago, I got kind of down for the first time, and the negative thoughts came back. Like there's always been and always will be the ideation of bad thoughts since I was a kid, because I've had those thoughts since being a kid, and they come to my mind. I'm like, no, I don't want this, and but I think what it is like, there's no such thing as a good or bad thought. It's like what we do with the thought that makes it important, right? Or makes it something. Like ruminating on thoughts is an action. Like acting out obviously is an action. um, but I think the more we are aware of our thoughts, and like we can like correct them in a way where it's like we can put a spin on it to be like, hey, no, this is not what Brady wants. This is not what no, this is not what I want, and it's hard because when I feel bad, for me personally, I tend to think bad, and I just can't like if I wasn't on the past week because I was in my head, but now I'm on back on live and just rambling and letting my voice go out here. But I think how we talk to ourselves is critical.
Can I ask what you do for work?
Professionally, I'm a 3D artist, but now I am in a transitional period of my life. Um, and for a story I can get into, I don't mind sharing it. But I'm working at a thrift store right now as a cashier.
Okay.
Booyah! So I'm just getting through. I'm just getting through it.
Oh
Uh,
no, it's. I mean, like, I guess there really wasn't. It was just kind of like a prelude into like, money is, like being broke is stressful. That's another thing.
yes, I lived in my car for 3 months before living at this transitional period, like home I'm at right now. It was in the
That's
works.
good. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's been like a really good thing for me too. And the people are great, and just the services are amazing. And like I can't be more grateful, right? Um, but like I'm starting to think like things are just so fucking expensive. Like I don't like if I'm gonna live in my car again, I'm gonna live in my car, and that's like a negative way to think, right? Because I don't know what's gonna happen in the 3D industry. Like the film industry is unstable. They're not making as many movies as they have been in the past. Work is being outsourced to different countries because it's cheaper to do that. Work in India or Australia or wherever. The rise of AI is concerning. There's already like my buddy works on Netflix on a Netflix movie right now, and one of the directors is prompting AI to create like 30 pieces of concept art. They're doing visualization, which is what I used to do, is creating like a rough version of the movie to show the director and the client. So they're doing like a visualization is like a rough animation of what like the shot could look like with visual effects and CGI, and it's just really concerning because like why are we creating this stuff? It's like unethical. Like we should keep the human element into art, but it's not only just within the film industry and the gaming industry. Like it's all over the place. Like AI is gonna be a huge concern where I don't think we have Alec, hello. Sorry, I don't think we have the safety net for people to be okay once AI takes over thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs. So what are we gonna do? And things are just getting more and more expensive, and it's like no one gives a shit. It seems like not saying no one gives a shit, but like it's a huge issue, and it's gonna happen. But I'm not in fear of that. I'll survive in my car.
No, I've definitely like experienced homelessness as well. Right now I'm living with a friend, and it's like a very small. It's like a very. I don't know. I'm like kind of worried about this because like there's that saying like familiarity breeds resentment,
Mm-hmm.
and in such a small space as it is, and like because like I am very mentally unwell, like like in a sense that like
You're
it's
very what? My bad.
I'm like mentally ill in the sense that like
Oh,
it's very difficult for me to like take care of myself. Um, like I'm able to clock in and clock out of work. You know, I'm very grateful for my own career. I'm very grateful for my career. Like there's many things to be grateful for.
mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's this. I'm like really bad at money management. I'm really bad at. I can't do paperwork.
Yeah,
And so it's like it's very difficult for me to fill out applications. Like so, like it just seems like there's like this bureaucratic state in which that I cannot traverse, and I hate the fact that I have this expectation of traversing it because like I'm not a greedy like I really like chess. I'm a very minimalist person. Earthly
right.
possessions are bad. I don't want to own a damn thing.
I'm with you on
So
that.
it's not, yeah, so it's not very much like I have bad money management, but like I don't. It's not like I'm wasting my money. I am wasting it. I don't think I'm wasting it on like things like addiction or whatever like that, or like
Right.
trivial things.
No, I'm with you. I don't balance my checkbook. I hardly look at my bank account. Well, once I get paid, I look at my bank account. But I just kind of like if I want a Red Bull today, I'm gonna get a Red Bull. But like I'm understanding now. Like I have an addictive personality. I believe at this point. Um, if it's not one thing, it's another thing, and it somehow became Red Bull like 3 weeks ago, and I got one like after work every day. Like I got off work at 7:30, so I'd be drinking Red Bulls at night, but they don't do anything to my system. Like I don't feel any like effect of the caffeine. I just like them for the taste. But the more I've been navigating this, I had to use my voice of reason, which is a different character in my mind, and it's a real person. But like I have characterized them in such a way that they're an actor and not the real person. And I've been listening to her voice, and she's like, Brady, if you sleep in and get over 8 hours of sleep, you cannot get a Red Bull at night. I'm like, God. And I sleep in and I don't get a Red Bull. But I didn't sleep in today. I woke up on time and I got a Red Bull today. But now the next issue is going to be stop getting Red Bulls and how am I going to convince myself? Sorry, that probably went into a different tangent than what you were getting at. Um,
No, I did know that. No, that 100% tracks. Like we're just having a conversation. I have this like I had I have this like homeless friend who's like really smart. I think he's a genius. He's great. And we're having this conversation about like how he was talking to like one of his friend's wives, and he had like referenced something, and she just kind of laughed and smiled, and he felt that she didn't really get what he was saying. And I had said to him in that moment, is like, maybe language is just this thing we orbit so we can be among each other. Like, do
ooh,
we really need to know what the fuck we're saying? This is just like, like, meaning is the relationship in which that we share and not in the words that they possess.
yes. Abiding and See, whenever I do that, it gets a laugh. But like I'm doing it in such a silly way too. But like we literally apply
But no,
meaning to everything, and we can subjectively take this in however we need. Like you took it in as funny, and that's how you took it in. But like someone in the comments might have probably been like, "This weird, crazy motherfucker." Maybe not. I don't know. But like we can subjectively take in whatever, but we apply meaning to literally every single thing we possibly can, which I think is amazing.
I mean, but like I think like laughter is like just having like a great chuckle. Like that is a word in which that has like in which everyone laughs differently. Everyone has this independent laugh in which that like the only meaning that is in there is like, oh, we're having a good time or something is funny, right? And so like we're just kind of like this like sympathetic like I don't like I feel like religious language is just like easier to use or like spiritual language is easier to use is like we're on the same frequency, bro. Like
No, no, I
we're
hear you.
kind of like we're calibrating our identities in which to run parallel to each other, which
Right.
is as social creatures is very comforting.
You get it. You get it. It's being on the right frequency with like with different people, right? Like having to tune that into the right frequency, like so like you can get on the same page with them. And I think this is how we navigate people with different like ideas, or ideologies, or beliefs, or whatever. It's like we see them as humans, but we dial in that frequency, and then we like kind of go in for the kill. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. But like going back to like the whole meaning thing, like um, what was I gonna say about that? I forgot what I was gonna say about that. I had a really good idea I was going to, but I kind of lost track. Hmm.
How we prescribe meaning to all things.
Yeah. I don't. I don't know. I don't know where I was gonna go with that. Sorry. It slipped my mind. Unfortunately, it was really good too. I was like, yes, this is what I wanted to talk about. But then I'm just like, what? Okay. Don't stress it. Don't stress it, man. Yes. Um. Well, when we apply meaning to literally everything, like we can abstract like God, for instance, or like an idea, like a story or something to apply meaning towards to try to believe in what that means, right? So what am I saying? So I'm agnostic, but I lean spiritually. So I practice it on my own in my own way, but like I remain agnostic because I think going back to saying I don't know because like what I believe in isn't I don't know if it actually exists or not, but I'd like to believe that it would exist, if that makes any sense. But I'm open to hearing other people's points of view of what they think God is, so we can collectively understand what that means in a good way together, if that makes any sense at all. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, there's that quote in the Bible about like when the disciples are asking Christ, I forget what it is. It's like, if there's love among you, I am there. Like, and so like I think that God, in a sense, is like a field of relation. In that, okay. This is what it is. In a sense that I see God in you. In that, if we look at like religious devotion, in which that people say, "I love God." So there is God, and then there's the love that a devoted person has for God. And we can separate those two things. So we separate the personification of the person of God, and we identify our capacity in which to love God. And then we just drop the middleman out.
Mm-hmm.
And the love of God becomes God. And you can place or recognize this love of God in another person or in a fucking tree or a rock. In that sense that I can there are these moments in which that I meet individuals in which that I'm like, oh shit, you're God. But like not
Do you
as
think that, or what do you what do you mean by that?
is that they exhibit some quality in which that triggers I recognize the quality of God in them as God and then come to love them as such.
Isn't that
And
interesting? Right? Yeah. Go ahead.
also it's just like I know worship or like people are like, oh, you see God, that means you're going to worship me. It's like, nah, my version of God doesn't require this kind of like
Well, this is the
bowing.
interesting. This is the interesting thing because like I think what you're doing is something that I think about too when it comes to my idea of like okay, so I'm an actor. Let's say I think I'm a good actor, but there's also bad actors out there, and I have been a bad actor in the past. I'm open to talk about being a bad actor, but I believe on top of that is agents, and on top of agents is gods. It's up to me right now to find my goddess. Like lead me to you. Come on. It's just like where are you at? And that way it's like in a way we're finding a person we want to emulate or like copy not copy like fully like do it in our own ways, right? But like we want to find like these good qualities in people and reproduce them in our own unique and beautiful ways, because I mean that I believe we're all unique and beautiful in our own ways. And I think once we come to understand like who we are as individuals and how to operate and what the mission is and what our personal goals are, we can find this out. So like for me, when it comes to a goddess or goddesses or God or whoever it is up above, I don't know if that's true. And I'm trying to really find a God on earth. That's my side mission. What if Jesus is just walking around still? Like he got off the cross and he's just like walking around like he's in I don't know, he's in Africa or somewhere. I don't know. Yo, Alec, how's it
Yo,
going? I'm
not
gonna
bad at all.
uh I saw you join a little bit, but do you have any thoughts about what we're talking about here?
Oh, well, I was gonna ask you a follow-up question with what you were saying, which would be, what do you define as godly?
Ooh, this is where we can brainstorm together, because what I have for me isn't, and this is why I remain agnostic, is we can fit different definitions or things into it. So what would I define as godly? Someone who, whoa, this is a good question. This is a really good question. Creative, creative would be one.
So, if you have the capacity for being creative, you could be considered godly.
Well, more than that. Hmm. Because I think everyone has the capacity to be creative, right? And
Okay.
I think something that people get hard on themselves is like, you know, I can't draw, and it's like you can, you just like believe in yourself more. So believe having a belief in themselves and others to be on the same page. So I think having like a really clear framework in their mind to uh, help people help themselves, if that makes any sense. That's another quality I'd say.
Okay.
Maybe.
Because my question then would be another follow-up to make it even trickier, I guess, would be, why would we associate creativity with godliness? Why can creativity not be its own beauty and not require a extra, oh, how do I put it, as a spiritual extraness to it when it could just literally be someone who's creative, right? What if the godly is within you, not external?
Well, I think yeah, no, I think what you're saying is interesting, and it pokes a hole. And I think it's not only creativeness and see, this is I haven't gotten to the point of defining my god, to be honest. Like I call them goddesses because I'm like I prefer women just because.
Right. That's
Um,
fine.
but I haven't fully thought about what makes that thing, but I think what I'm trying to do desperately is find someone in real life or on TikTok that acts like a good agent, if it makes any sense. And what I mean by agent is not a god, right? It's a human or a thing that has a clear mission and helps people. So I think attributes of the god can be attributes of the agent. So I'm workshopping this in real time with you guys, by the way. So this is great. I appreciate you picking my brain here. I think agents. I know one definitely in my life. I don't have contact with her anymore, but uh, she is super intelligent. Um, Knew my name before I even met her. I walked past her in college, and she's like, "Hey, Brady." I'm like, "Whoa, this person knows my name. It's amazing." She oversees like thousands of students, um, uh, and she is highly admired by people that interact with her. So it's like someone who does a great amount of good would be an agent, I'd say, but also that follows up with being God too, like in the hierarchy. I'm open to brainstorming ideas with you guys though.
I think the only fault with that is what you consider good is subjective to your upbringing, where you live, the conditions you were brought up in the world with. So your version of good could be very different to another person's version of good.
Right. So we can subjectively like talk about this. So do you think like a director of really prestigious program, learning everyone's names or like my name at least, and being able to say that to them to make them feel good about themselves, do you think that's a good thing?
Oh, I think it's a positive thing for sure. I wouldn't
Right.
disagree and say it's not
And
positive. Would I say it's godly? That's where I
I
might
wouldn't
go.
I wouldn't say that. Like that doesn't only qualify that. I think godly is I can't define that because I don't know what that is. Ah, TikTok, why you do this to me? Okay.
Wake up, buddy.
I said this person's an agent, and that's different than a god in my
Okay.
framework. But we can subjectively like this is what we do. Literally, I don't think there's technically such thing as objective truth. Really, it's what the collective believes that, and we can if everyone on Earth um thought that an asteroid was going to hit Earth, and what we had to do is get everyone to be in Denver, Colorado, to jump at the same time to move the Earth 3.5 feet until it missed the Earth. Like, is that true? We can make it true if we all objectively agreed with it, but I think we all subjectively have an understanding of what good and bad means, and we can talk like this, what we're doing right now, and I can define what an agent is, I can define what a god is, and if you disagree, we can get somewhere with it, and I can have a better understanding of what it means for me too, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes sense. You know me, I'm an atheist, so I don't typically look at things with a godly lens, and I never have really. Not that it's necessarily wrong. I guess you would see me as more of an extreme humanist,
Okay.
where I see the value in people, not a greater being above the people, but the people itself are the cherished thing. They are the gift.
That's
You
solid.
are a walking, right? Because the cool thing about science, and you come to realize, thanks, Riley, nice seeing you, right? The cool thing you realize is that you are literally the universe comes self aware trying to understand itself. And when you really dive into
That's
that thought,
interesting.
it is mind breaking, right?
So
It's mind breaking.
say that again. Say that again. I'd love to hear it again.
You are the universe comes self aware trying to understand itself.
Isn't that so? Do you think that's what defines like? Do you think that's the definition of consciousness, or like what is that?
That is literally life, right? That's where you formed out of the same elements that came from the Big Bang.
Yeah.
You formed from the carbon, the hydrogen, the helium, the iron, right? All of those things that make up who you are, you formed from that. After billions of years, here you are, a
Here we are.
statistical improbability.
Right. Isn't it
And that in
wonderful?
and of itself to me is cool. Like some
Yeah.
people go to religion, I go to science. I think that's cool in and of itself, is that you are literally the universe alive. That's
I
mind breaking.
I agree. I think that's it's interesting, but we can also in that same framework kind of like see things in a different way too. Like if we're the universe experiencing itself, then who is Mr. Sloth right here? I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this tangent or what I'm saying. Oh,
Huh?
You can't see Mr. Sloth because dang it, it's too dark. Mr. Sloth is a stuffed animal, but I talk with Mr. Sloth as if he's real.
That's
Um,
fine.
but what I don't know where I'm trying to get at with this.
I don't
Um,
either. I'm just riding the log. I'm like, okay.
um, so I was going to ask you about this, well, a couple weeks ago, but it kind of goes into what we're talking about with the universities, like where's the universe experiencing itself. Like, do you believe in scientific determination?
Well, yeah, I do. I'm a very firm believer in scientific determinism. I brought it up before on your lives about it. I absolutely do believe that you have you're more of a passenger in a reactionary world,
Right,
reacting to everything going on, and very seldom do you have moments where you're in charge. But that's not a bad thing, that's just how life operates, right? It would be a bit of a nightmare if you had to manually process and automate everything that your brain does.
right,
It would be a fucking nightmare.
right. You get it. You get it. So, do you think with scientific determinism, do you think like it's like the future's not certain yet? Like, is the future determined or like predetermination? Like
No,
this? Okay.
the future isn't determined, but your actions and patterns are determined. This
So
is why
science.
corp.
Oh, go ahead.
Give me a second. I gotta step away for a second.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we have whoa 6 people. Hey, how's it going? Sorry, Wesley. If you have anything to add to this conversation, I didn't mean to like just ignore you too. So if you
Oh
have
no,
anything to say,
I did not feel ignored. I can practice my listening skills.
nice. I'm under the impression of predetermination, but in a way that kind of psychologically unlocks how I think about stuff. Like I don't I think if I really truly believed in it, I could just be more like Brady, just more and more without worrying about uh, doing something wrong. Like if I say like I tend to stutter sometimes when I ask people if they want to round up for donations and whatnot. But if I stumble or mumble, I'm just like, come on, guys! Like you're trying to make me look like an idiot. Like I don't know if it's true or not. I can't say it's true, but it helps me like regulate my emotions just by like thinking about these desires that are characters or actors or agents in my brain trying to influence my every action. If that makes any sense.
Okay,
No,
I'm back. What did I miss?
I was just going into my like how predetermination for me is a way like kind of like psychologically unlocking my mind just to like be more as if I am right. But I'm curious to hear what you think about scientific determinism, Alec. Ah, my
Well,
phone.
really what it is, right? It's saying is basically is that your brain is going to react subconsciously than it does consciously. So you've already made a decision before you're consciously aware of it. But that's not that you're guaranteed to do the things. It's just that you will follow a specific pattern, and a specific pattern things based on your upbringing, your religious upbringing, your
Right.
economic status. All these things play factors into how your brain operates and thinks and navigates in the world. So all that means is that you can be predictable, but not that everything is guaranteed to happen the way it will, right? Because you
Right.
can break predictions, you can change your character, right? These are called paradigm shifts. You can have paradigm shifts where you come to new information, new realizations, and completely alter your brain chemistry, and this has been recorded. So scientific determination doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to always do the same thing no matter what, and we know what you'll do. No, it's just that you will always be reactive than proactive, and that you will have a set pattern of responses based on everything your life has experienced.
Right. No, that's interesting because like what you're kind of going back into, or like what I would say is like we're all a product of our luck in biology and our luck in our environment, like how we were growing up and other influences and whatnot, and that impacts like who we are as adults, right? And I think if we tend to be more conscious and aware of like what has impacted us, we can like steer the ship essentially. Like I think free will, in my opinion, is more of an illusion than anything because like it's like or we might have a desire to pick purple socks to wear instead of green socks this one day, but like perhaps I wanted to like be like, yeah, I just want to like get my free will back and pick the green socks instead. But it's actually that desire was just stronger. It just is. And I think it's more like free will is more of an illusion than really anything, because like you said, it seems to make sense with the scientific determinism, as if we subconsciously already picked that in the first place. Like the desire just was greater for us to pick one or the other. Does that make any sense?
Right. Yeah, I've always argued that the free will argument it's inadequate and it's kind of not relevant. It's very redundant of an argument, and it kind of convolutes how the world works, right? Because with the implication of free will implies that there is a right choice and a wrong choice, right? And
No,
objectively,
I don't think it applies that. It's just that there is something in which that chooses independently of all options. It doesn't really matter if you're making wrong or right choices. It's that you are the chooser of the choice.
yeah, but see, here's the problem with that is, as we just talked with how the brain works, that's not really how the brain operates. So it's kind of a redundant argument to argue free will when we know the subconscious has made a decision and it is you, but it's automated processes that are running at trillionth of a second faster than your consciousness. And so saying, hey, I'm going to eat a pineapple today instead of an apple, that subconscious decision happened before that conscious decision happened.
Oh, I agree that like, of course like there's like the second like awareness is probably secondary to some choice, but it seems that there is like this system in which that is trying to navigate an environment, and so it's trying to make so there's like these competing values in which that it's trying to assess, and so like whatever's tipping that threshold, be it you or some physical, I understand like there's like some spiritual jive that people don't like, but I guess it's just like when we say free will, are we just talking about competing will or like competing values that are happening internally, and then eventually like, okay, I'm going to take a right instead of a left because my environment or whatever, like there's like this chooser that's choosing.
Right. I would define free will as the ability to have chosen differently.
But like there's no preset answer that's given, right? Every choice is a decision in the moment of your own choice, right? There's no preset path. And then especially I will say free will argument works better in the field of science than it does in the field of religion. It absolutely gets destroyed the second you bring, as soon as I hear a Christian, especially, right, like a Christian bring up free will, I'm like, well, you've just destroyed your entire God in 3 seconds. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, your God is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Right? He knows everything and will always know everything. Right? Well, yeah. Then he knows if you're going to heaven or hell.
Right.
So what's the point? Because he already knows. Well, he's testing you. How can he test you if he knows? So he doesn't know? No, he knows. So then you don't have free will. That is
Right.
the shittiest. Like, it falls apart as soon as you bring in a religion,
Right.
especially with a God that's all knowing. Free will cannot exist.
It's like in world A, I have the option between A or B. I'm gonna pick. I think I'm gonna pick A. But in this world, there's a God that's all knowing and knows no matter what, before the God even snapped his fingers or whatever to create the Earth, that I was gonna pick A before B, and I have no choice in this reality compared to the other reality with the same exact choice with no God. Like I technically have free will in this instance, and yes, what you said, Alec, makes sense, and I think it just tears apart like the Abrahamic God.
It
Like
immediately destroys their God. And that's what led, that was one of the first things that led me away to the church, was when my pastor went on this ramble about God knowing you and goes, he knows the hairs on your arm. And I'm like, So if he knows that, he knows what I'm going to do. Yes, he will. So then how do I have free will? Well, because you have the right to choose. Okay, but he knows what I'm going to pick. Him not telling me that he knows, but tells us that he knows, doesn't change the fact that at the end of the day, whatever decision I made, he already knew it was going to be that way. So, what's this whole point of, oh, I'm going to come back and harden your hearts? How can you harden our hearts if you already know if we're going to turn to you or not? Like, what do you mean? But there's a lot of things in the Bible that immediately contradict it too, right? Like in Adam and Eve, when they first eat the apple and they hide from God, and God's looking for them, calling out for them, "Where are you?" What do you mean, where are
Right.
you? You're all knowing. You should know exactly where they are the second they
My
did
sister
that.
would say like, "Oh, he was just trying to like, get them to like, admit that they're wrong," or like, just like her reasoning was like so bad. Sorry, I'm calling my sister out, but yeah, there's plenty of like things I don't mean to argue with Christians, but sometimes like now I know not to, but like in the past with my sister, I know it was wrong to do. But anyways, it does steer it like the whole. If you define your God as like all knowing, all powerful, all good, whatever those things are, like what we see in the Bible doesn't always correlate to what that definition of the God is. We can even look at the world today and see that that's not the same thing. And there's contradictions or just uh, issues with having that God being a thing, right? And I think this is why if we are going to abstract a God, we should understand what this means, and make it make sense throughout different beliefs, which I think can be possible. But I don't mean to go back there with this. But if you guys have anything to add, I was going to go back into scientific determinism after this, but we can talk
Yeah,
about that
all I
later.
was going to say is at the end of the day, I refuse to believe in the existence of a higher power when there are children born with cancer, when there are specific parasites that target the eyes of children to blind them. Like with these things that exist in nature and things that occur, I don't believe in an all powerful being setting this to be the case. I think that the world is chaotic and tragedies happen with the series of chaos and evolution, and it has nothing to do with the deity.
Could it be possible that the gods or the god or a god or whatever set this world in motion the way it needs to be? Like we see this suffering that shouldn't be the case, but it had to be the case in order for us to get back to harmony, if that makes sense. Or like they want to experience. Like, I didn't answer that in the right way. Take that back. They it sounds fucked up, but like experiencing that, Brady, this sounds fucked up. I'm trying
No,
to
I get what you're saying,
like
and this is what I'll say to
in
that.
my framework, it's the confused agent. I like experiencing all of us whenever it can, and perhaps I'm not gonna get there, but perhaps to understand what to really be like a god, if that's gonna be the case, maybe it had to understand this suffering, in as many ways as possible to become this greater thing. And I haven't heard anyone say it in that way before. And I don't know if that's just me getting moseying around and
Well, I don't
trying to prove
mind
something.
that idea. All I would say is very bluntly, right, with no disrespect, is if there is a god or gods that require the necessity of suffering, they are not worth my worship or my time.
What if there's no other way to create Earth as or the world or the universe as we know it without having chaos or suffering?
If I am an ultimate being of good, right? If God is good, as
I'm not
people say,
saying God
God
is
is
good.
good, right?
I'm not saying that.
Okay, so you're saying this God might be evil?
All things.
Well, see, this is where I think science makes more sense because evolution is messy. The creation of things is messy, right? Space is very messy. It's not this clean, uniform perfection. It's a very messy place. Earth is messy. Life is messy, and that just is the pattern of the universe. It's not a God making it messy. It's just that it is because you have to think from what we know is this is the only universe to have existed
Right.
and have come into existence.
What I'm saying is, we can be atheist and that's fine and believe in nothing and believe no afterlife. That's fine and dandy. Um people are like, that's okay, because I think people are actually critically thinking and using their brains against what we see with at least an Abrahamic God or within Christianity, to my understanding, right? But like for me, I think if we're like, I use God as a tool, like as a storytelling device, to where if we're able to abstract an idea and it gets us to a destination compared to not like believing in that, and it doesn't get us anywhere, and I believe it's the stories we tell ourselves that are critical, and it doesn't always have to be the case that it's factual if it benefits the majority of people. But how do we do that to where it benefits every single human being? And I think that's where the problem I'm trying to solve, and that's why I'm coming up on live talking about this openly, so we
Right.
can reach that.
I think one thing that science should be more clear on is just because we don't believe in an afterlife doesn't mean you think you just cease to exist. Right? That's not how science works. You are made up of energy, right? You are energy. You are energy, and you are very high energy because you're a living being, so you require a lot of energy to stay moving. When you pass, your matter, which is neither created nor destroyed, is internal. So your energy and your matter will stay, right? And will be infinite. Now, whether it realigns itself, there's a thought experiment, right? If you put an apple in an airtight space and you let it sit an infinite time, eventually the apple will go from decomposing to reappearing as brand new and reverting its just given enough time. But
See,
obviously, that's I don't think that people are gonna in a 2 trillion years suddenly reappear. But your energy will form into other things, right? Just as the energy you have now from other animals may have once been something else. The water you drink may have been once something else at one point,
right.
right? And everything transfers into something else. You just transfer into a new state of energy. So that's
This
all
is
it is. You're
interesting.
not really, you just are no longer conscious about it. That's
But
the only difference.
how do we know that after that we are don't like we're not conscious, like because we think I think we tend to think scientifically that consciousness is appearing in the brain, right? Like that's where it starts from.
Yeah, it's a byproduct of the synapses of your brain firing. It's a byproduct of how advanced our brain is, but also things like like things like memory. Those are all within your brain, right? That's why you can even do a real life test experiment of forgetting memory by when you black out, right? Because your hippocampus is where memory is formed. So when the hippocampus no longer is functioning, you're not making memories, you're not recollecting memories. It's not possible because it's all within the brain. So I think consciousness is a byproduct of the brain, and so when you pass, you're no longer conscious, but that's not necessarily that you're not existent. You're just not aware of the existence anymore. That's all.
Interesting. Well, what if it was the case though, where um we die, we become new things, and what if all the old things are living within us to the point where it's influencing who we are as people today? Like, isn't there something with like if what's going on? Like something I think we were talking about it, me and you, Alec, about like your like ancestors like being in such a way, like you're able like somehow.
Your evolution carries back to millions of years. That
Right.
still carries in you in your DNA.
Yeah, no, okay,
Those
so it's from the
fears of certain
DNA.
sounds. Yeah, like we were around when dinosaurs were around. We just weren't humans, right? We were back to a kind of like a mouse looking rodent back then
Whoa.
when we
Okay,
trace our lineage.
okay, this is
So
so cool.
we were around. We just weren't human yet, but we were around, and those things they teach the offspring through that genetic information. And fear travels genetically; it gets carried
Yes,
genetically.
that's what I'm
So
thinking.
so those things carried into who we are. Our fear of certain low rumbles and stuff go back from millions of years ago, carrying into us, right? And that's why also a lot of things we do that seem really dumb is because we're still cavemen. We're just in a modern age, but we're still cavemen
Very,
in
yeah,
our brain.
primitive, and when it like tribalism, like
Absolutely.
me better than you,
Yeah.
me better than you.
Yeah.
Right,
We have
right.
not actually evolved past that. And that's the funny thing. People think we
well,
have. We haven't.
well,
We
see,
are
Alex,
still technically cavemen.
see, Alex, this is why we have to abstract a god.
Well, yeah, because cavemen don't know any better.
Right. But like, you can be an atheist and you can have fun being an atheist all you want. But like, if we tell it in a story term, like a story way, where like, we both acknowledge it's not factually correct, but we understand the benefit that it has on society and the world and it has the human species. Would you get on board with the universal idea if it made sense with you?
I'm not against spiritualism at all, right? I'm
Okay.
very much for spiritualism. I don't like established religion.
Okay.
That's when I get, okay, now you've crossed the line. But spiritualism, having a sense of spiritualism, like, I can't deny that there are things that we do in the science field or that occur in nature that, yes, we can explain it, but it doesn't make it any less magical.
Right.
It's still, to me, magic, and it's crazy, but we understand it. We understand how it works, but it's still magical.
You know what's fun is have you ever have I talked to you about panpsychism before? Like, do you understand that theory of consciousness?
Oh, I'm a panpsychic. I love panpsychism.
Oh, whoa, no way. Well, to my understanding, help me understand if this is accurate. Wesley, right? That's your name.
There's
It's
different schools of thought, so you're
like,
probably not wrong.
well, it's apparently like, it's like everything that is ever to be has like a varying level degree of like consciousness, right? Is that? But it's like the problem with that is like when does like a group of stuff become conscious, right? Is that how would you explain it, Wesley?
The way I say, the way I describe my version of panpsychism is that consciousness is a state of matter. So like matter, um, like like if we look at like water, right? There's it can be ice, it can be like a vapor, or it can be like in its fluid sense as it is in water. And so like my conception of panpsychism is that consciousness is just a state of matter. It's just a possible. A it's it is a fundamental quality of the domain in which that everything has the capability of accessing to it. So consciousness is present, but it's dormant. So I don't literally think that a rock is conscious,
Yes.
but the consciousness, the possibility of consciousness is dormant in its material physical properties.
Or imagine if it has like some sort of subjective experience, like not to say it has like a thinking, it's like not a thinking thing, like a rock or a tree isn't a thinking thing, right? But like, imagine what it's like to be a tree, or like imagine what it's like to not have any senses, like your eyes, your nose, your taste, your ears, whatever, all your senses gone, and like, what's that mean to be conscious? And like, what's it mean if I don't even have memory at all? Like, if I don't have memory, I don't have my senses. Like, am I still conscious? At that point, like what is I don't know if any either of you guys
I,
like
I,
resonate
I
with that.
think
I think you're undervaluing trees for a moment there. Wow. Okay.
you know
Put down the trees, even though they have one of the most advanced communication networks in the globe,
Okay, well, help
because
me
they
understand.
I think
the
they
trees. So tree roots connect with the mushrooms underneath ground, right? The fungus, and they use the fungal networks to communicate with other trees.
Oh,
They
whoa.
literally talk to each other. So trees communicate, trees experience, trees are actually plant life is a lot more intelligent than we thought it was, and we keep discovering it's more and more. Even so, they fucking lied to us that trees and plants all use just photosynthesis. That's fucking bullshit. They lied at night. Trees have little spores in their leaves that let them breathe air. So trees also
What?
sometimes breathe at night. Plants and trees will breathe air, and then during the day they will produce photosynthesis and release air.
This is so interesting. This is why I love coming up on TikTok and talking to people because like it's stuff like this that's like I'm learning so much, which is fantastic. I just love listening to you guys. This is great. So yeah, well, it's just imagine like being just imagine being a tree. Like it's like such an alien experience. Like that we can't comprehend yet. Maybe right? Like what's that mean to like what? So I'm gonna try to rephrase it so I can articulate this next time. So trees and their roots connect with each other, but they use fungus to do what now?
They use their networks, they connect with their roots, and they use it to communicate with each other,
Like
to
the fungus
communicate
is
with other trees.
like the fungus is communicating with other fungus, or like the fungus is communicating with trees, or like they're
No, they
both
will.
communicating.
So the fungus will connect to the tree root at the base, underground, deep underground. They will connect, and then the tree will hijack that as a network communication. So it's a symbiotic relationship.
Whoa.
The tree will give nutrients to the fungus, and the fungus will allow the tree to use its connections to other trees to send communications with each other.
Okay.
So that's how it works. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's, hey, we will feed you water and our resources that we produce. In exchange, you will let us use your underground connections to communicate with other trees. What they're saying to each other, we don't know. We haven't figured that out yet.
Isn't that okay?
But
That's fascinating. That's it's like, but so they don't need a brain to communicate.
huh?
They don't need a brain to communicate. They're still communicating. How does that work?
Well, there are other ways to communicate on this planet than just a brain and verbal communication, right? A lot of insects use pheromone based scents. They don't talk to each other, right? They don't speak like we do. They send out scents, and those scents will tell, like ants do this, right? The queen ant, depending on what scent is given, will give the order in what they do and what their role is. Bees do this as well, right? So there's other ways to communicate that don't require speaking.
Do you think before I get to it, Jim Old Thompson, welcome in. Um, I do you think our hands have a mind of their own?
Who are you asking?
Anyone, Alec, or like 'cause sometimes we just like, do things that we don't are not always conscious of. Like, why not hold my hand like this? Um, or is it learned? Because I've done this movement before. I say, be not afraid, be not afraid.
I mean, it could be pattern recognition, or sometimes people will put their hands in certain positions that provide comfort subconsciously.
Okay.
You know, but it's all communication with the brain.
But okay, so it's communication with the brain. So, but like they don't
Yeah.
have like they're not just doing their own thing. But like the brain
Uh-uh.
is. But how does help me understand? So a tree can just feel without a brain, but it's not thinking as if it's
Yeah, it's not thinking like we do. No.
right. Anyways, we brought up Mr. or Mrs. Jim Old Doe Thompson. How you doing there? Hello. Did you want to come up?
I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
Doing
Oh,
good.
there we go.
You said you had something to
Yeah, I'm
add
here.
to this. I'm getting more people just to get different ideas flowing here.
So I'm not like big on like the hippy dippy shit. But I also think that we were purposely like disconnected with the earth. You know, like there is magic within the earth that modern society tries to disconnect us from, because not that it would actually make a change, but having a legitimate relationship with the earth and with your surroundings makes you care more about them, you know?
Yeah, I was half tracking, but I think like what you said. If I'll try to repeat it. If it's not right, correct me. It's like seeing like different like the trees and or nature or things that are not human, like having some sort of like. Can you repeat what you said? I'm so sorry.
No, so what I'm saying is like we're purposefully disconnected from them,
Oh, purposely
like
disconnected.
by society. And we shouldn't be, because even though like there might not be any existential reason to feel connected to nature, like this is who we are. And if we're connected to it, we stand up for the people we love, the nature that exists.
I think I don't know. I think I'm tracking where like we were talking about panpsychism before, where essentially everything has like a degree of consciousness. It's just perhaps dormant, or like when does a collective of stuff become conscious in the first place? But if we recognize, and I just learned from Alec with the trees, like that they're actually thinking things, and maybe we should be more empathetic towards trees or like nature in a sense where we want to protect and I think it's like a different. If panpsychism isn't a correct theory of consciousness, it at least lets us think about the world differently, like in a different lens. If that makes any sense.
But if you and I are thinking these things, like the powers that be aren't. Like they don't care. So
What power is
how are
that?
we going to the powers that destroy, the powers that hoard, the powers that build, you know?
Like
Like
people in
they
power?
see they see a forest and they see a resource. They see paper where I see a forest. I wonder who has run under those canopies and how long it's existed, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with what you're saying. I don't know really where to take it. Um, but I do need a pee. But I'm gonna hold it. I'm just saying thoughts out loud right now.
But do you think that we should take genuine action against people who are trying to destroy
Yeah.
the
Well,
planet?
how do we? I think how do we go from there, right? Because I think the more we can talk about it and and enlighten people about it, I think that's all we can do at this point, and vote for people to be in places of power where they can create effective change, right? Um, I don't know, like for instance, like data centers for AI data centers. I read, I don't know if this is true, but like I read a headline saying that it was like making a city like a few degrees warmer or whatever it might be. Like I think people just don't really care about the environment in some senses, and they care more about money, and whatever gets them money is going to be beneficial than caring about what the planet takes into effect with what they do. Um, so yeah, I mean, I wish people weren't. I wish we had a more caring take on the environment, if that makes any sense. What's going on? I'm gonna just invite people up just to get the conversation going more because I'm running out of. Oh, did you take off?
Oh, hey. Oh,
Hello. How you doing?
hey, sorry. Based on what you said, I was just gonna say, I think largely people have just decided they have no power and they're playing defense.
Right.
Like, even if they are being activists, it's only in the sense that their immediate community needs to be like together. I think people are fully seeing what's happening. I don't think it's like, oh, no one thinks that. No, even the Christians or the crazy people that think that they want the apocalypse to come. Everyone's in defense mode. I think right now, not even like emotionally and like psychologically, just like mindset about what their politics are. It's just defensive. Like what can I do to survive whatever's happening? Does that make sense? Would you agree with
Yeah.
that?
No. I think you're right. I think people just want to be right so bad. Like, this can go with anything, right? But I think we ought to normalize saying, "I don't know." Like saying, "I don't know." Sometimes
I
is
think
okay.
no. I think that's what people say online. I think you're going by. Sorry, I took a drink of my water and
Oh, you're okay.
coughed on it. Uh, I think people's opinions are the most like everyone loves fighting. I think that's toothless and means nothing. Like the internet has just become a place for to gather everyone so that they don't actually do things in real life that affect change. Um, I think people are happy to argue and pretend like they're revolutionaries or pretend like they have real values online. But what I see in real life, what everyone doing is basically just trying to hunker down and get everything that they and theirs need to try and like make it through whatever they perceive might be coming.
Yeah, I think it gets to a point where people want to be comfortable knowing that, well, people do their best, right? And there's good and bad people, of
Mm.
course. But I think people,
Everyone's bad. I think that's a more honest standpoint. But anyway,
right? I think we're capable of it and have done bad. And I think we should minimalize unnecessary
I
suffering.
mean,
But
we do
that's another
bad. I
topic.
mean, okay, all right.
Sorry, no. If you want to go into that, we can go into that instead of.
Okay, well, everyone likes to think that their intentions are good, but the fact is, we do existing is quote unquote bad. You're always eating something. You're always doing something destructive just to exist because you believe that you deserve to exist. So you use things around you. Like that's a fundamental aspect. We overly fucking moralize the fact that like there should be just a give and take of what we take and what we give back, but we take too much. That's for sure. But you have to take something to survive. You have to eat something to survive. You have to cut down a tree to build a house to survive. Like, that's all very normal human stuff. We don't all have to feel bad about that. I think people do bad stuff all day, every day, technically, but they don't feel like they're bad people because it's washed out by it just being kind of the majority of what society is at right now. But the fact is, we are eating through our resources faster than they can be replenished. That is fundamentally the main issue. Right?
Yeah, no, I see you're getting at with the environment. Like, I'm not too well versed or educated on like what we're all doing to it. But I know, like, people like deforesting or
It's not even
oil
that anything
spills.
is wrong. It's about if it's in balance or not, and it's not in balance. So we're all kind of we're all like and then society stuff, like trying to get along with each other. Everyone thinks they're doing their best, but it's all pretty messed up.
Yeah.
So I think people are just trying to like survive in their own little bubbles right now.
Right. I think that's understandable. And like, people want to be comfortable too, and I think that limits people in ways that I can get into. But I think as long as we remain curious, open-minded, and understanding, and put that into our values and our foundation as who we are as people, I believe we can progress and flourish. Right? It's like having these conversations is good, right? Because we're both, we see the issue, but we can like understand how we can get there and progress as the human species, right? Like, I think,
are we supposed to progress though? This is, I mean,
are we supposed to?
maybe we've overshot our resources. I took a like basic 101 ecology class in college that you had a little old school disc to put in, and it was like wolves and deer and the plants. And if there's more plants, there's more deer. And if there's more wolves, there's less deer. And it like you try and make it in balance. We have overshot our resources. It doesn't matter what people think or believe. The ultimate decider is going to be what the resources say that exist to survive. So we can all have the best ideas. We can all have the best morals. And it won't matter because we all eat up so much resources just to survive. And if they're not doled out and balanced out with the rest of the planet in order to sustain our population, it will go away and people will not be here, unalived, en masse. Not because of ideology, because of factual, identifiable resource issues.
So
and like this idea that you can like have the best opinion on the internet and that's going to save the world is so goddamn irritating to me. Anyway.
Well, I mean, I think people trying to think of ways where we can work together. I mean, I see people trying this out, but like, how do we know that the environment is going to be like gone? Like, is there anything we can do today? Like
a lot of science. I mean, it depends on if you believe it or not, but like, it's an overwhelming amount of science gone into like explaining that they don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's not great. I think people in power do know this science and are happy for us to like argue with each other and unalive each other based on just the pettiest, dumbest shit.
So how do we know what is going to actually happen if we don't know what's going to happen?
Well, I think once again, I go back to the idea that everyone is just kind of hunkering down, and I don't think that's even a wrong thing to do. I think you do have to like humble yourself to know that your circle of influence is who's directly you're around talking to and affecting, and you hope that has a chaos effect where it like affects other people. But realistically, you have to have some responsibility for the fact that you live in one little area, in one little community, with a lot of global things you can't control going on, and do your best. I mean, for an example, like in the 60s, the hippies did their best to do like the commune thing. Ended up being not that great politically, not that great even sociologically, like pretty messed up, weird cult stuff. But there was a lot of earnest people trying to find a way to have humanity live peacefully. And that still reverberates in how it affects people's mindsets now, where they realize, hey, there is at least a mode to live off the land as much as you can without the government. And this is just an example. So what I'm saying is like, you can't expect that just having the right opinions is going to affect the world. But at the same time, I guess it does a little bit. I don't really know what my point is.
No, no, you're fine. I appreciate being vulnerable. I'm just bullshitting.
Yeah.
No, you're good. No,
Yeah.
you're bringing up points. But what I'd say is I think the future is uncertain. Obviously, when it comes to what we can and can't know, maybe the science indicates that the environment's getting more and more fucked up, and we can see that. I think with I think isn't the ice caps melting and it's like sea levels are gonna rise or something like that. Like I've read.
Yeah, that's part of it.
So
It's a chaotic system. It's hard to know exactly in such a complex system that is the whole of planet Earth to know exactly. You can't. It's really hard to predict chaotic systems because they're so complex. I mean, it's chaotic because it's so complex. So
right
they can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but we can say, hey, we are influencing the balance a lot, and that could be to our detriment. You know?
to the human species, right? The Earth is gonna live on, but
Right.
the human
Of
species
course.
might not, right? And I think
And others.
what's important is if like I don't think it's wrong for people to go on here trying to connect with people. Like I'm just gonna say, like me trying to do this, trying to
I enjoy
align
it.
and figure out what we're doing
Yeah.
as people,
You're
right?
right.
On as a human, like we ought to try. I ought to try something, and I don't have all
You're
the
right.
answers, right? But like I think when it comes to this, like being curious, open minded, understanding is good, right? We lean in with that. We model this out for people. Like there's two people, hello people. There's you and probably another person watching this right now, and that's enough. It's enough. It starts small, right? And we grow and we grow and we grow.
Yeah.
The idea is to build
Yeah.
a community of like-minded individuals that have different diverse backgrounds and experiences and who they are as people and beliefs, so we can support and validate each other, and from there
I,
it can go from it can
I
take off.
agree, but I would add the
I
caveat
don't
that
know if that's going to happen with my channel, but like
I'd add the caveat that it might not be happening. Like it's more like carrying on a tradition that hopefully other people will keep picking up, because right now I feel like we're in a free fall, and people with good intentions are not the people with power. Like
right.
you can have the right opinions, but if you don't have power to enact those correct opinions, it just doesn't do anything. So all we're doing is carrying on a tradition so that maybe in the future there is some way to enact power to like take care of that kind of thing.
Right. I think there's a way we can get someone that is like-minded like us into power by making them popular, if it makes any sense. And
Mom Donnie's doing well.
yeah, I haven't heard much about, like I've heard his name, but he's like the mayor of New York, right? Or the
Yeah, he's kind of killing it. Honestly, look up a couple old clips of him. He has good answers when people. I mean, that's whatever. That's boring. That's old school politics. But he's actually like trying to do shit. I don't know.
right.
It's not going to save the world, but like it's nice to see. I don't know.
Right. I have this like I just have ideas and none of them are like coming into fruition yet, but like what if there's a way where we can kind of make believe as adults, essentially, where like I believe like there's the actors on the bottom, we're either good or bad actors, we can be either way, but then on top of actors are agents, and on top of agents are gods. And what I think in my abstraction of this is that there's a confused agent upstairs that is living through all of us, and we are the technology essentially to help this confused agent become a god, because it thinks it's a god, but it's not. But why I phrase it this way is, if we have this framework, and we can believe it or not, but like it doesn't have to be exactly that either. I'm open to different ideas. But if we have some sort of story that we tell ourselves, where we find agents on Earth and we work together and have for the mission, right? And we go from there. Like what does that do? And I don't
Okay.
I don't know, but I'm just trying to spitball ideas at this point and see more.
Okay. Here's my thing. This isn't why I joined, and I joined. You can see it in my comments. I joined because you said talk about anything, and I just started rewatching Breaking Bad,
Nice.
and that's what I was going to talk about. This is not what I had joined, but now that you've brought it up, I'm going to tell you my thing about it.
Okay.
Which is a whole thing. It's like a whole thing. Like 5 years ago, I channeled a book.
You channeled a book? What's that mean?
Yes. I literally channeled. Yes. Like spiritual fucking coming through me, and I just typed it down because it was coming through me. It was a real serious thing. It wasn't just like weird. I don't know. I won't defend myself. It is whatever you think it is. It was, but I channeled the book, and it was about like spiritual topics, and it was a warning to humanity about nuclear weapons, and it explained why nuclear weapons were so bad on a spiritual level. Like unaliving people is like fine because that's what human like. I mean, it's it's bad, but it's like it's allowed. It's fine. That's what the planet is. But nukes are like a level of technology and destruction that is so far beyond what we should be allowed to be using. It destroys existence to a level that is just unexplainably horrible.
Right.
And so it's a warning to humanity. So I did that. So, and I actually got a lot of like spiritual answers to questions through the channeling of the book. I am not, I gotta say, it's been 5 years. I'm not schizophrenic. I don't hear voices, whatever. It's a thing that happened. Sometimes I can channel messages to people. But other than that, I'm like a normal person otherwise. So anyway, but like
who's normal anymore? Who wants to be normal?
I know, right? And I wasn't like I said, I joined this to talk about watching Breaking Bad. So I'm not trying to preach this shit here, but since you brought it up,
go ahead. This is interesting.
Since you brought it up,
yeah,
that's it. I don't know. You can ask. I mean, you can ask me questions.
Yeah,
I can answer some stuff. I
definitely.
can't answer other stuff.
I think we can brainstorm together here because I'm agnostic, bodily and spiritually. So like I don't know.
I get it.
What I believe is to be accurate, but I believe it for myself personally to live in a way where it makes sense to me. I can't predict.
I do have people. I have to clarify. To me, I would not call it belief for what I do, but I don't expect anyone else to ever believe what I'm saying or think of it other than a belief. For me, what I do want to tell you is that it's a fact to me, which itself creates its own burdens because then I have to kind of I'm responsible for living along that fact. But I know I didn't come up with this book by myself. I know for a fact that it was being channeled through me. Like I'm the only one in a position to know that. And I want to say that just to make it clear where I'm coming from when I talk about this. I refuse to pretend that it's just a belief I have. It is something factual to me because I'm the one that experienced it happening. But I also would never expect anyone to treat it as anything other than a thing that they might believe or not because it didn't happen to you. So why would you know?
Right. So like, would you consider yourself spiritually leaning, or like do you follow like religion, or like what would you classify your
No. I mean, I grew up, in the random generic Christian religion, American, whatever. But no, I don't. The things I believe, like I said, to me, it's not belief anymore. I don't want to. It sounds very dramatic of me, but I'm a little bit burdened with the fact that it's a fact to me. I don't get to pretend that I'm just choosing what to believe because it actually happened, and so I factually understand just the amount of understanding that came through me in order to do the book. But that's all I need to do. I don't have to do anything else.
So like it was like more than yourself, like something coming into you that gave you these ideas. Like,
right. So what it is we all have our higher self. We all have our higher self. My higher self just happens to be doing the job of talking to other higher selves in order to channel the book through me.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, I like that idea.
It is. I mean, I've felt the pushback when I've conceptualized it as a video game type thing because like it's more meaningful that, and it's not really quite that. But I do think that's a good way to conceptualize. Like there is an operator above us that is our higher self. And our higher self is involved with a lot of other spiritual beings, whatever it is. I don't know the details, but it's whatever. It's just outside of our direct experience, our little slice of experience. Like think of it as we live in a little slice, and there's a lot of stuff outside that slice, which is fine. But yeah, we all have a higher self that's a little bit outside the slice, but we're kind of like also here, like doing this job now, being incarnate, whatever it is. So I know that my higher self talks to other higher selves in order to have channeled. That's all I know.
I like that idea because it's like I have two things. The first thing is like it's interesting because like it almost seems to be the case for me. There's like an infinite amount of ideas just floating around in space, right? And like we can like introspectively like go in and ask ourselves questions to get to one channel, to get to the next channel, get to the next.
Yeah.
But we also can do this with you and me right now. Like where I'm explaining this for however much time again to come to a unique way, a different way of saying this idea to you for you to subjectively take in with your data and your senses that you like for my data with your senses, and you can subjectively take it in as however you need. I think that's a beautiful thing because we can reach different ideas together, and I think that's how we progress is to.
Oh yeah, for sure. And right? And the fragmentation is like that. There is no like. the unity of all of our different, like the contradictions that everyone like everything exists in contradiction because it is true for one person something and something is true for a different person, and then when they come together those things clash, but it's both true and real. So we're at a level where contradictions are allowed to exist. um and it just, spiritually moves up higher, beyond our level, but like there's always going to be contradictions.
This
um
is interesting. Because I got to get to the other. I'm gonna hold off on the other point I was gonna make. But when it comes to this, I don't believe in evil, but other people
okay,
do.
yeah.
So we have to fucking deal with it, right?
Okay, so here's what I do know a little bit about this. It's way more, it's good and evil, yes. We are allowed to, we have free will to do that. Here at this level, there's a lot, like, that's the whole point of what we're doing here is like, but it's not good and evil. I mean, you can call it that, but it's, do you love others as much as yourself, or do you love yourself more than others?
Right, right.
And people need to like make that choice. And it's supposed to be, it's okay to do either. That's the thing people have trouble with, because they're always like, oh, God wouldn't let this and this happen. Well, actually, yeah. I mean, yeah, actually, God would let that happen because that is existence. How would you know what's good if there wasn't evil? And Earth is just a particularly difficult place. So, like, it's also not meant to be judged if people are more self-loving or learning how to be more self-loving. And I think that there's like a lot of other levels to it. Like you keep incarnating or whatever into whatever you choose is like your path. You just keep going with it. And then it all comes back together at some point, and you call that God, whatever. But or whatever. But like it's allowed. That's what people don't get. Like look at nature. It's allowed for things to be horrible. Like it just simply is. So that means it's all part of the same thing, and you only know what one thing is if the other exists.
Right.
And so existence is about pushing those limits and creating more and more and more and more and more experience in existence. But there's a level where there has to be like a boundary, and that's the nukes. It's like that destroys souls to a level that they have to be rebuilt a little bit at this low level. Like nukes are not something that's supposed to be allowed to be used at this level of our existence. They're allowed to be in suns. It's allowed in other ways that are way beyond our understanding. But at our level, like on a planet like this, we're not supposed to have that much power. So humanity is like weird in that it technologically has done so much evil to get to the level of nukes, and it's so wrong that there has been a effort universally in order to address this without encroaching on human free will. That's why all the alien stuff is like, oh, it can never be proved, because if it was proved, it's no longer free will that people are operating under. But we're getting to a point where humans can't be trusted not to make fucking nukes. So there has to be an encroachment on the free will. And so that's why I channeled the book. That's why there's more openness about the like alien thing, which don't ask me about. I don't want to know about it, and I don't know about it. But I do know it's involved. I do know it's involved in this. It's all about the nukes. It's all about how stupid, spiritually stupid humanity is for letting this be a thing, how much they don't understand. They are screwing their own souls for so long by letting this be a thing. People have to incarnate here in order to warn humanity to stop using nukes. And at some point, their free will is going to get revoked, and the veil is going to be lifted unless they can figure it out themselves. And this is humanity's last ditch effort to figure it out right now, if they can stop using nukes or not. And that's why this is an important time on planet Earth, why there's so many people incarnated here.
No one's used nukes since the first two nukes were made.
First of all, they get tested all the time. They shouldn't be used. They shouldn't exist. That's the whole point. The potential can't be there. The potential cannot be there. It needs to be completely eradicated. That's why there's so many stories of UFOs above nuclear sites. Like, this is the reason planet Earth is such a weird, important planet right now. Humans are using the veil, the fact that they incarnate here and forget who they are. Evil ones are coming here to do it in order to use nukes so that they can use that excuse of, oh, well, I didn't know that nukes were bad after they pass away, so that they don't get condemned for it. But it needs to be warned to people that it's not okay to do, and we're getting to the point where people are going to lose that excuse and lose that free will excuse if it has to be intervened so much.
Yeah, definitely.
That
Nuclear
was channeling, by
warfare.
the way.
Oh, that's great. Good job. I so to get to that, I think how we talk to ourselves is critical, right? And I think it's interesting how you say you're higher up, or the version of, like, how I described it for me was like future Brady, right? And I tended to start to externalize my thoughts because of a woman I met, and she did it in her own way, and I did it in my own way, just to, like, bring awareness to how I was thinking. Like, if I had a negative thought, I could, like, say it out loud, make it into existence, and reframe it. And I did this by adding different characters in my mind, for instance. So one of them was future Brady, and I negotiated with future Brady to, well, future Brady was like, dude, quit chewing tobacco. It's fucking disgusting. I'm like, yes, I know. And I'm walking around this lake, and I'm like, figuring out, okay, so future Brady's like, okay, so Brady, once you get to this point up ahead in the space, you're going to convince yourself to never chew again. I'm like, okay, so I went like this. My gums are starting to recede. I like my teeth. I like my smile, and I want a girlfriend. Damn it! And by that time up in the path, I'm like, okay, sign the contract, whatever. But it made me wonder, like, if I can talk to future Brady like this and, like, really hold true to like talking to myself in this way, like, what does that say about past Brady? And it goes something like this: it's like, you know what, you tried your best in the past. Like, maybe you didn't always know, the right thing, but, like, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I'm very glad for who I am today. So it helped me be more kind to myself.
That's really nice.
Right?
That's
Isn't that
very,
interesting?
yeah, that's really nice.
So, like, when you say you channeled your higher self, I can, like, subjectively resonate with what you're saying when it comes to that, right? And I think for me, the more, like, I abstract, like, different characters, like, my voice of reason has become a friend of mine, and it's not my voice
Yeah.
because I'm too easy on myself. But if it's this other person that I know that respects and cares about me, is telling me not to do these things, I'll respect it. And it's been a journey, and I'm still learning and growing, of course. But it goes to say, and I think this is critical, is how we talk to ourselves is super important.
Yeah. Here's what I want to say specifically. I would never presume to tell you how to interact with your higher self, how to interact with your own spirituality, how to many paths up the mountain. I would never presume to tell you how to do that. So yeah, that sounds like you tell me.
I'm
Yeah,
curious.
that
I'm
sounds.
curious how you talk. Like, do you talk with like, how do you talk with yourself, or, like, what's it go like?
I do channeled readings for people, and I can type them out really quickly. I feel it as um being told, like, when you have the sensation of being told something new, like, I'm saying words, right? And I am. However, your internal experience of this is that your brain is processing the things I'm saying right now, and, like, and formulating a response, kind of thing. Like, if we were texting right now, I mean, that's how I channel is texting. So let me be a little more specific in my example.
You okay?
If we were texting, you would. So it's like I get the second half of the equation where there's nothing in front of me telling it, but the brain process feels the same, that I'm being told an information, and then I'm typing it out. Or does that make sense?
So, like,
Like,
you're being told. It's like, it just, like, it comes to
like
you,
like it's natural feeling. It's
right.
natural feeling because it feels like a thought. It feels like a thought, but it happens really quick
So,
and makes sense for just a second, for only the second it takes for me to type it out, and then I immediately forget it. And then so yeah, so it feels natural and okay to, like, sit there and type out a reading or type out the book that, like, I had. That's how I did that. But it felt like a thought that I would naturally have, but then the thought would go away immediately once I typed it out.
right.
So it, like, feels natural to do, but it's not something you would normally think yourself or has anything to do with you at all.
That's
And
interesting.
then it goes away really quick too.
It sounds like you're, like, kind of in a flow state. Like, you're just, like,
Yeah. Oh, great way
tapped
to put
in.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Right. Like how. Yeah. Yeah. Actually. Yeah. Yeah. Right. 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 Yeah.
No,
And I've never
that's
really even
interesting.
explained it to anyone in this. Like, I clearly, like, you're the person I'm supposed to explain it to. And clearly,
Well,
some
you're
people
doing
are listening
you're
right
doing a
now,
great
even if they're
you're
not
doing a great
believing it,
job.
but it's
We have
fine.
6 people. Yeah.
But
No, you're doing
you were
great.
probably curious, and I probably joined randomly because it was for you to hear, I guess. I assume. I mean, I have to assume that. I don't know.
Well, this is the interesting thing because, like, in this space, like, we're kind of brainstorming ideas together. Like, I'm putting into
Yeah.
words, I'm putting into words
I
abstract
think the noble
ideas,
pursuit.
right? And we're modeling it out on TikTok for other people to witness. Like,
Yeah.
maybe it's not like the grandest thing. There's 6 people, and that's amazing. And I appreciate people just for hanging in, like, just hanging in there, but just for hanging around and just watching all this, right? Because, like, it starts small, right? When it comes to us, because, like, we have different backgrounds, different understandings of the world, but we can align with how we abstract our thoughts and how or these ideas or in our minds or characters in our minds or actors or whatever you want to phrase it as, right? And we all kind of have this internal dialogue in a sense, right? But, like, putting a word to it
Right.
and coming to understand, like, what, like, being more aware of what that is, I
Yeah,
think is a key
intuition. I mean,
level.
I feel,
Yeah,
people have known this forever. Everyone,
right.
intuition.
This is not
It's
new,
intuition.
right?
Yeah.
But I think
You know,
people
it's
sometimes
funny.
don't have,
So,
like, words to, like, put it on, right? Or, like, have a way to really explain what we do, if that makes any sense. But go ahead.
yeah. I don't. Nothing. I don't remember what I was gonna say.
You're okay. You're okay. Um, yeah, I'm probably going to get off for the night. It's been 2 hours. My butt hurts on this metal chair. But if you had any last thing you wanted to say, I'll let you say something.
I'm good. Yeah. No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure just talking with you, and I appreciate being open and vulnerable and sharing your ideas and thoughts.
Cool.
So I hope you
Thanks
have a
for
good rest of your night.
providing a venue
Yes, you're more than welcome to
and
come
being
up again in the
interested.
future. So yeah,
Well, I followed you, so okay. Have a good night.
take care. Yep. Bye.
Okay, bye.
All right, guys. That's the end. See you guys when I see you guys again. Goodbye.